Alright everyone, Tuesday's video. I hope you are all well, wherever you happen to be watching this on planet Earth. Good to have you with us. We do have a pretty big game coming on Saturday. Don't worry, I've not forgotten about that. It's a major game. I'm guessing it's going to have some sort of bearing on how we feel going into the summer. Regardless, we'll be league champions, but it's a big game. As I say, I've not forgotten that. After that, though, attention will turn to the future and transfer business. And I think we've got a pretty hectic summer ahead of us. It's not going to be like a rebuild, but I think there's certainly a number of positions that we need to fill and do much better in the transfer market than we did this season. The main one that people are going to be looking at, I think, to begin with anyway, is the goalkeeping situation. As you know, Joe Hart will play his final game for the club and of his career in the cup final at Hampden. After that, we'll be looking to replace him, and things are maybe picking up a little bit of pace in that regard. We're going to start with that today. Should say, by the way, and there's a fair chance you may already have come across this, the club yesterday, I think, put out probably a 5 or 6 minute recap of our title-winning league campaign, set to pretty inspirational background music and really good commentary from throughout the season. And as I say, it's relatively short, but it kind of goes into all the key points from Brendan Rodgers returning, to the good start to the season, the big lead we had, to the tougher points in the season, and obviously the really good ending. And I just want to bring it to your attention. As I say, there's a fair chance you've already watched it, but I saw it when I got up this morning. And I'm a sucker for these kind of inspirational videos, but it just got me going big time. And just in the off chance you haven't seen it, I want to draw your attention to it. Link is below in the description. Definitely check it out, but only after we're done here, because I want to talk about the goalkeeping situation. We've had a number of names linked already over the past... Well, to be honest, it's been going back probably to the start of the season. Even before we knew Joe Hart was retiring, there was a number of names linked with the club. And maybe a number of them haven't been particularly exciting. Certainly recently, we've had a few that have kind of gone... Alright, we've actually pondered whether they're first choice goalkeepers or backup goalkeepers, and that's not really a good sign if you're looking for a first choice goalkeeper, not even knowing that they would be a first choice goalkeeper. But there's a name that's come out late last night that maybe the first one I've looked at and got a little bit excited about. And the irony here is it's actually not a name that I'm particularly familiar with. Maybe subconsciously I've seen this guy, Koen Casteels his name is, and as I say, maybe I've seen him play the odd match here and there that I've just had on in the background or whatever, but I've never gone out my way to watch him play for Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga. That's where he's been for basically the past decade. He joined them at the start of 2015 when... 2 seasons as their backup goalkeeper to Diego Benaglio, and then when he left Wolfsburg, Casteels became their number one. So at the start of the 2017-2018 campaign, he's been their first choice goalkeeper for the past 7 seasons, helping them to a number of good finishes in the Bundesliga. I think 4th place was the highest they got. That was in the COVID season. They've also won the German Super Cup. Now, he played his final game for Wolfsburg at the weekend and will find a new club this summer as a free agent. So he's left Wolfsburg and will join a new club this summer for free. And the Daily Mail and Stephen McGowan are reporting that we have added him to a list of potential replacements for Joe Hart. Now, he's reportedly held talks with Anderlecht in his homeland. He has Belgium. He's got 8 caps for Belgium, which is, fair enough when Thibaut Courtois is their main goalkeeper. But yeah, he was quoted in an article on the Wolfsburg website at the weekend saying, "I don't have a new club yet. We've already held initial talks, but it's not 100% certain which club I'll be playing for next season." Now, as I say, that team that he's had talks with is said and understood to have been Anderlecht. However, they had a bad result at the weekend, and it seems very much like they're not going to be in the UEFA Champions League next season. So we're interested in him, or we're certainly aware of him, and we have UEFA Champions League football to offer him. So that could give us the upper hand. The Mail also say Casteels was contacted about the interest from Celtic, but he declined to confirm or deny it. And yeah, there's not really a great deal else in the report, but as I say, this is maybe the first name that we've looked at or been linked with that I've kind of taken a look at and gone, yeah, I could see that could work. I mean, he's clearly pretty experienced. I always think like the Bundesliga's quite a good league for goalkeepers. A lot of good goalkeepers come out of the Bundesliga, play in the Bundesliga. Quite a high pressure league as well, big crowds. And he's been, a first choice goalkeeper there for the past 7 seasons. He's played in the UEFA Champions League in, I think, the tail half of 2021. So not last season, but the year before we came back into the tournament. So he's got experience, as I say. He's been capped 8 times by Belgium as well. So he's played international football. He's 31 years old, which for me is a pretty good age for a goalkeeper. He should still be in his peak years. And yeah, I caveat all of this by saying that I've never actually seen him play, or certainly remember seeing him play. But he must be decent enough to continue to be Wolfsburg's first choice goalkeeper for 7 years, and they certainly think very highly of him. And that to me would just seem like quite a good fit. As I say, good age, good experience. I think that's what you're looking for, a reliable goalkeeper. I think this is probably the first name that I've looked at, and I've kind of got a little bit excited about it. We've had recent names. We've had Alex McCarthy. I think this is more exciting than that. For example, even in recent days, Etienne Vaesen, who's a 28-year-old, plays for Walwick in the Eredivisie. He's been linked. Burnley's Arijanet Muric, who's a former Manchester City youngster. He's been linked. Asmir Begovic apparently as well. I missed that, but he's apparently been mentioned as a potential signing. So a lot of names coming out. I think we're going to get more names, and hopefully the club have a good idea of what road they're going to go down with this goalkeeper, because as I've said, a number of times now, it's very important to me that this is a signing that's done early in the summer. We want to get a goalkeeper in, have him there for the first day's training, forming relationships with his back four, get him playing in pre-season. There's no reason not to do that for me. The only reason would be the club, dragging their feet over a transfer fee or something like that. So get the goalkeeper in early, and with all due respect to someone like Scott Bain, don't have him starting in the Premiership at the start of the season. That's nothing against Scott Bain. I think he's a pretty good backup goalkeeper, but I want a first choice signed and ready to go at that stage. So yeah, we'll wait and see if anything comes of this, but yeah, it may be a name to keep an eye on. Koen Casteels. You can find out a bit more about him online if you want to. The other thing I want to talk about today is a very exciting topic. I'm sure you'll love this. Plastic pitches, because there's been a bit of a development again yesterday evening, I think it was. News that Premiership clubs will vote on whether to continue allowing artificial surfaces in the top flight. Now, the clubs are said to have brought forward a resolution which seeks to phase out the use of artificial pitches in the Premiership. So we're only talking about the Premiership here, both for the clubs voting and, the rule they're looking to bring in. We're not talking about the lower divisions, not that would really affect us anyway. The resolution requires 9 votes to pass, so 9 out of 12, 75%. If it is passed, then the clubs with plastic pitches will be given a 2-year grace period. So we could still see plastic pitches next season and the year after, but from the start of 2026-27, they won't be allowed. Now, at the moment, as we speak right now, there's only actually one plastic pitch in the top flight. That's Kilmarnock's. As we heard from our pal Callum ahead of our trip to Rugby Park last week in the wee segment we did, they are looking to get a grass pitch down at Rugby Park, even before any of this stuff had come in. But that doesn't seem like it'll be in place, certainly not for next season. So Kelly are the only one with a plastic pitch at the moment. Livingston are no longer a Premiership team. Wraith Rovers have one though, and they are about to face Ross County over 2 legs for a chance to be in the Premiership next year. So we may yet have 2, but certainly no more than that. The other kind of part of this, but it's about grass pitches, is the SPFL board approving plans for a Premiership-wide project to work with a leading pitch consultancy firm. You can tell this is from the SPFL statement. One that's actually used by UEFA to improve the standard of grass pitches in the league. And for me, this can only be good news from a Celtic point of view. The better the pitch, the better it is for us to be playing our attractive football. And certainly, artificial surfaces for me, they have an impact on the matches, and I think players in general would be in favour of grass pitches over artificial surfaces. I saw Tony Watt actually tweeting about things only working if the grass pitches are held to a certain standard. He says that good Astro is better than bad grass, and he'll have played in quite a few Astros in the Championship this season. So that's kind of a player's view. I just think personally, as a supporter, see when you turn on a game like live on Sky at Livingston or Kilmarnock, and you've got like the sun beating down on a plastic pitch, it just looks terrible. It puts you off watching the game, to be honest. And if it wasn't Celtic playing, you definitely wouldn't watch it. So I just think get grass pitches in. I understand why, some clubs have gone down the artificial route. It gives them, more options. You can have, the pitch rented out throughout the week, for example. I think Livingston do that. You can have the first team training on it during the week as well. That's an advantage. But I just think these clubs are Premiership clubs rather than community clubs. I know they'll all try and be community clubs as well, but I think you're a top flight club, you should have a grass pitch. So I think this is a welcome development. We had a chance a couple of years ago to vote this through when Kilmarnock were relegated, didn't take it. I think the understanding at that stage was that it was an 11-1 vote. Now we've found out it's a 9-3 vote. So I would expect that to be passed pretty soon. So that's all well and good. A couple of other wee things that are maybe not quite as juicy as that, but Neil Lennon is back in management again, and he's off to Romania. He's the new boss of Rapid Bucharest. You could say it's a rapid return to management. Boom. He has signed a 2-year deal with them, and that's going to be a very interesting one to keep an eye on. Finally, Norwich have tweeted to suggest that Adam Ida will be returning to Carrow Road at the end of his loan at Celtic. They tweeted this, just including Adam Ida's in a list of players returning to the club. I thought this was worth mentioning as it's a development, but it really isn't a notable one. This will just be a very simple, graphic stuck out that has Adam Ida at the moment returning to the club. I would certainly expect Celtic to be keen to sign him. I would expect him to be keen to return to Celtic without knowing for sure. And I think it'll probably just come down to agreeing a fee between ourselves and Norwich. Whatever that is, I've made my kind of feelings on Ida abundantly clear. I really like him. I think he's just brought a great energy to the club. He's scored really important goals. He's a big game player, I think, which is something that's gone under the radar. And I think there's more to come from him as well. He's excelled in everything. He's kind of every challenge he's taken on at Celtic so far. When he signed, I don't think people expected him to score at Ibrox, for example. And I know people might look at the Champions League and think, we need maybe a higher calibre of player. And I'm not saying that Ida's going to go and score, 5 or 6 goals in the Champions League next season. But I just think I wouldn't write him off being quite an effective player at that level. I think he's got the pace and the power to play at that level. Certainly looking at his raw attributes. And as I say, I think there's real improvement to come in and working under someone like Brendan Rodgers. And I think for a backup to Kyogo, he's maybe like as good as we can expect to get. Now, I know people look at it and go, you should always be trying to sign, someone better than Kyogo. Yeah, how much is that going to cost you? I mean, genuine question. How much are you going to have to pay to find a better forward than Kyogo has been for Celtic? For me, you're talking well over £10 million, and even then, I think there's no guarantees. That's how good Kyogo has been. I think Ida, on the evidence of the last few months, will be a really good backup, and he'll play a lot of football next season as well. It's been a tough period for him in recent months because we've only really had one game a week. When you think, next season we're going to have 8 Champions League games, the League Cup, midweek games, and especially in the first half of the season, there's going to be opportunities for a second choice striker, and Ida for me would be top of the list. Maybe this is a controversial statement, but I would actually probably prefer we sign Ida than even Bojan Miovski at the moment. I like Miovski as well. I just think Ida maybe has, more pace than Miovski and could be a better option as a number 2. Certainly would prefer Ida to 8-time Player of the Year in Scotland, Lawrence Shankland. Don't get me started on that. Right, happy thoughts everyone. Back tomorrow.